Most traders spend their entire lives searching for the perfect entry, completely unaware that they are already trapped inside a psychological prison built by their own evolution. You believe your failure is a lack of strategy, but the truth is far more lethal. You are trying to navigate a modern financial battlefield using a 10,000-year-old biological operating system that was never designed for probability. In the next few minutes, we are going to perform a manual override on your instincts, deconstructing the ammunition rule and the Barry Bush psychology that separates the professional operators from the gamblers who provide their liquidity. If you stay until the end, you will understand why your natural aggression is currently your greatest enemy, and exactly how to redirect that fire into a tool for surgical, cold-blooded consistency. But before we deconstruct the carnage of your last blowout, I need to see who is in the arena with me. Drop a 1-inch in the comments if you are the trader who takes a loss and immediately doubles your size to punch the market back, trying to reclaim your dignity in a single trade. Drop a 2 if you are the one who gets paralyzed by the red screen, second-guessing every setup until the opportunity has already passed. Every like and comment you provide is the fuel that keeps this channel running and allows us to keep bringing you these deep-dive psychological interventions, so let us know which side of the internal war you are fighting today. Picture yourself at 2 a.m. The world is silent, but your mind is a chaotic battlefield. You are sitting in the cold blue glow of your monitors, a statue in the dark, waiting for that one setup that looks like a gift from the gods. You didn't just take the trade, you married it. You felt a level of intoxicating certainty that borders on madness. You doubled your position size and you moved your stop loss just a little bit further away because you were convinced the market just needed room to breathe. And then, it happens. A single, violent red candle cuts through your screen like a razor. In less than 10 seconds, weeks of disciplined profit evaporate. Your heart hammers against your ribs, and the silence in the room suddenly feels heavy, like a physical weight on your chest. In this moment, trading isn't about numbers anymore. It's a war against your own ego, and your ego is screaming for blood. You feel betrayed. You feel like the market saw your stop personally and came for it. This is where the biological malware takes over. 10,000 years ago, if you ate a red berry from a bush and got sick, your brain hardwired a survival rule. Red equals death. When you see 3 red candles today, your amygdala triggers a fight or flight response, pumping adrenaline into your veins and telling you to fight for your survival. But in the stock market, fighting back is a death sentence. You open a new position, twice as large as the last one, with no plan and no logic, driven by a primal urge to prove you were right. You are screaming at a rainstorm for getting you wet, unaware that the rain doesn't care about your mortgage or your dreams. You are trying to fill a hole in your soul by digging faster, completely unaware that you are actually digging your own financial grave. You must stop seeing your capital as money and start seeing it as ammunition. Every time you click buy or sell out of anger or boredom, you are firing a bullet blindly into a storm. Most traders enter the arena with 100 bullets, but they spend 90 of them in the first hour chasing ghosts. By the time the real opportunity appears, the A+ setup that could change your life, you pull the trigger and hear nothing but a hollow click. You are out of the game before the game even truly began. The math of this carnage is cold and vicious. If you lose 50% of your account in a moment of emotional madness, you don't just need a 50% gain to get back to zero. You need a 100% gain just to stand where you started. Destruction is a fast-moving elevator, but recovery is a spiral staircase you have to climb while carrying a mountain on your back. This is why the hero narrative is a lethal trap. We celebrate the big shorts who bet it all and won, but we never see the 10,000 people who made the same hero play and lost their future. The most profitable strategy is the one that makes for the worst movie. It is boring. It is repetitive. It is the path of the professional operator who treats every dollar like a sacred resource. The best traders in the world aren't the ones with the flashiest entries. They are the ones who are aggressively boring. They are like the master angler who sits by the lake for 8 hours and doesn't cast a single line because the conditions aren't perfect. They know that a no trade is a winning trade because their ammunition stays dry and their mind stays clear. They have replaced their biological survival code with a cold, mechanical process. They realize the market doesn't pay you for being busy. It pays you for being right, and you can only be right if you're still alive to see the opportunity. Stop chasing the fire and start building the forge. If you are ready to stop being the market's victim and start becoming its operator, subscribe and hit the notification bell. The war is just beginning, and we are going to make sure you're the one left standing. The silence of a blown account isn't peaceful. It's a deafening, hollow ringing in your ears that tells you the game is over before you were even ready to play. You sit there, staring at the wreckage of your equity curve, realizing that the money you lost wasn't just numbers on a screen. It was hours of your life. It was your freedom, and it was the trust you had in yourself. Before we go any further into the grueling climb back to zero, I want you to be honest with yourself in the comments. If you're the trader who fights for an entire month to make a 10% gain, only to watch it all vanish in a single afternoon of madness, let us know your story below. Every like, comment, and subscription is the primary motivation that allows us to keep pulling back the curtain on these psychological traps. So hit those buttons if you're still standing in the arena with us. You're standing at the bottom of a canyon now, looking up at the peak you used to stand on, and for the first time, the cold reality of the asymmetry of pain begins to set in. When you lost that first 10%, you told yourself it was just a scratch, a small price to pay for learning. You thought you only needed 10% to get back to even. But the math of the market is vicious and absolutely non-negotiable. As your account shrinks, the mountain you have to climb grows taller and steeper. If you take a 25% hit, you don't need a 25% gain to recover, you need 33%. If you lose 50%, you don't just need a good week, you need a 1 to 100% return on your remaining capital, just to stand back at the starting line. Destruction is a high-speed elevator that drops you to the basement in seconds. But recovery is a spiral staircase that you have to climb step by agonizing step, carrying the heavy weight of your past failures on your back. This is why playing defense isn't a suggestion for the weak. It is the only law of survival for the strong. Every dollar you bleed out today is a dollar that can no longer compound for you tomorrow. You aren't just losing capital, you are losing the most precious asset a trader has: time. Imagine you are a soldier dropped into a hostile, fog-covered jungle. You have 3 clips of ammunition. That is all you get for the entire mission. If you hear a rustle in the bushes and you spray 30 bullets into the dark just because you're scared, bored, or desperate to hit something, you aren't being aggressive, you are being a casualty. You are firing at shadows while the real predators are watching you, waiting for your gun to go click. In the world of trading, every marginal setup you take because you're bored, every revenge click you make because you're angry, is a bullet fired into the trees. Professional operators have strict rules of engagement. They don't fire until the target is confirmed, the wind is calculated, and the probability of a hit is at its absolute peak. They understand that a no trade isn't a missed opportunity. It's a winning move because it keeps their ammunition dry for the A+ setup that actually matters. They don't care about the ghosts they didn't shoot. They only care about the bullets they have left when the real target finally steps into the light. You have to stop asking yourself how much you can make and start asking how much ammunition you are willing to sacrifice for a single moment of uncertainty. If you are risking 5 or 10% of your account on one trade, you aren't trading. You're playing a lethal game of Russian roulette with a fully loaded chamber. The professional risks 1%, maybe 2. Why? Because they know that even the most perfect strategy can fail 5, 7, or 10 times in a row. They know their edge isn't a crystal ball. It's a law of large numbers. By risking only a tiny fraction of their ammunition, they ensure that they are still on the battlefield when the market Koi-Kung decides to pay out. They have moved past the desperate need to be right on every single trade and have embraced the cold, aggressive consistency of the process. They aren't looking for a hero moment to tell stories about. They are looking for a repeatable, surgical execution that pays the bills. The market is a giant machine designed to transfer wealth from the active to the patient. It dangles the carrot of quick riches to trigger that 10,000-year-old malware in your brain, hoping you'll size up and gamble your future away. But the secret that the elite 5% know is that real wealth is built in the boring moments. It's built by the trader who has the discipline to sit on their hands for 3 nights when the market is choppy, protecting their ammunition like it's a sacred resource. They aren't the loudest people in the room, and they don't have the flashiest stories. They are simply the ones who are vinconardé year after year, while the heroes have all burnt out and disappeared. The fire inside you is still burning, but now it's no longer a wildfire destroying your house. It's a focused flame inside a forge, tempered by the cold reality of the math. You are no longer the desperate hunter thrashing in the water. You are becoming the silent operator who knows that in this game, the last person standing is the only one who truly wins. The climb up the spiral staircase is long, but for the first time, you aren't looking for a shortcut. You're just looking for the next right step. The hardest part of trading isn't finding a winner. It's doing absolutely nothing when there isn't one. We are wired to believe that work means activity, that more effort equals more profit, and that sitting on your hands is a sign of failure. But in this environment, That belief is a lethal trap. If you've ever sat at your desk, staring at a sideways market, feeling like you're failing just because your hands aren't clicking the mouse, hit the like button and let us know in the comments how you handle the boredom. Your interaction is the primary motivation that keeps this channel alive, helping us reach those who are still drowning in the noise and the overtrading trap. Imagine you are standing on the edge of a vast, misty lake. You are the master angler, the silent observer who has spent years studying the currents and the shadows beneath the surface. You have your rod, you have your bait, and you have your ammunition. But you haven't cast your line once. Across the water, you see the amateur. He is thrashing, casting his line every 30 seconds into every ripple he sees. He's sweating, he's swearing, and he's exhausted. He's busy, but his bucket is empty. He is chasing the fish, while you are waiting for the fish to come to you. This is the difference between a gambler and a professional operator. The gambler is addicted to the action. The professional is addicted to the edge. You have to realize that the market doesn't pay you for your time, your effort, or your hustle. It only pays you for being right. And the only way to be right is to wait for the A+ setup, the one moment where the stars align, and the probability of a win is so high that not taking the trade would be the only real mistake. Most traders spend their days chasing B-tier setups, the ones that look okay, the ones that might work, the ones they take just because they're bored and want to feel the adrenaline of being in a position. But every time you take a marginal trade, you are polluting your mind and bleeding your ammunition. You are making it harder to see the real opportunity when it finally arrives, because your vision is clouded by the stress of a losing position. An A+ setup isn't just a pattern on a chart. It is a confluence of factors where the trend, the level, and the signal all scream the same message at the same time. It is a moment of surgical clarity in a world of chaos. When you find it, you don't hope it works. You execute with the cold, calculated conviction of a hunter who has already seen the outcome. But you can only achieve that clarity if you have the aggressive patience to let the noise pass you by. Think about the professional athlete. A world-class batter doesn't swing at every pitch. He waits for the one in his sweet spot. He is perfectly fine letting 3 or 4 balls go by, even if the crowd is screaming at him to swing. He knows his statistics. He knows that swinging at a bad pitch decreases his chances of a home run and increases his chances of a strikeout. In trading, the crowd is your own ego, and the social media noise telling you that you're missing out on the next big move. You have to develop the mental fortitude to say no to the 1,000 distractions, so you can say a resounding yes to the one opportunity that matters. This is where you shift from being the market's victim to being its silent operator. You aren't missing out on the B-tier trades. You are protecting your psychological capital so that when the A+ setup hits the screen, you are fresh, focused, and ready to strike with lethal precision. The secret to longevity in this game is learning to fall in love with the boredom. You have to reach a point where a day without a trade doesn't feel like a wasted day, but like a successful defense of your capital. You are the guard at the gate of your own wealth. If the enemy doesn't show up in a way you can defeat, you don't leave the gate and chase them into the woods. You stay at your post. The fire that used to drive you to overtrade has been tamed and redirected. It's no longer a wildfire. It's the steady, controlled heat of a forge where you are shaping a repeatable, mechanical process. You have realized that the most profitable thing you can do, on most days, is absolutely nothing. You have found the angler's edge, and for the first time, you aren't fighting the lake. You are part of it, waiting in the silence for the one strike that changes everything. If you're ready to stop the noise and start the execution, subscribe and hit the notification bell, because the final transformation is about to begin. The hardest part of the mission isn't the wait, it's what happens the moment after the shot is fired. Most traders spend their lives held hostage by the flashing green and red numbers on their screen, their heartbeat rising and falling with every tick of the price. If you have ever found yourself staring at your profit and loss, unable to breathe, or if you've ever closed a winning trade too early just to stop the anxiety, then you are still being ruled by the outcome rather than the process. Before we dive into the cold, surgical reality of the executioner's mindset, I want you to hit the like button and share your experience in the comments. Let us know. Are you still watching every single candle move against you, or have you learned to walk away? Your stories are the primary motivation that keeps this channel running, helping us reach those who are still trapped in the emotional roller coaster of the markets. Once the A+ setup appears and the criteria are met, the professional operator ceases to be a hunter and becomes an executioner. An executioner doesn't feel joy when the job is done, and they don't feel guilt if the result is messy. They simply follow the protocol. When you pull the trigger on a trade, You must perform a mental divorce from the outcome. The moment the order is filled, that money is no longer yours, it belongs to the market's probability. Your only job, your only sacred duty, is to manage the position according to the rules you wrote when you were calm. If you find yourself second-guessing your stop-loss or hovering your finger over the close button because you're scared of a pullback, you have abandoned the forge. You have let the wildfire back into your house. Imagine an elite pilot in a flight simulator. When an engine fails, they don't scream at the sky or pray for a miracle. They reach for the checklist. They execute the emergency procedure step by step, with a heart rate that barely fluctuates. This is because they have practiced the failure 1,000 times before it ever happened. In trading, a loss is not a failure. It is a cost of goods sold. It is the price you pay to see if the market is ready to give you a profit. The professional executioner treats a loss with the same cold indifference as a win. A win doesn't mean you're a genius, and a loss doesn't mean you're a failure. Both are simply data points in a long-term sample size. If you celebrate a win too loudly, you are setting yourself up to mourn a loss too deeply. To survive this game, you must stay in the zero zone, a state of mechanical indifference where your self-worth is completely detached from your equity curve. The secret to this detachment is realizing that you cannot control the market, but you can absolute control your response to it. Most traders are destroyed because they try to force the market to behave, which is as futile as trying to command the tides. The executioner knows that once they are in the trade, their work is 99% complete. The rest is just the market revealing its hand. If the trade hits your take profit, you log it and move on. If it hits your stop loss, you log it and move on. There is no drama, there is no story, there is only the next setup. You must learn to value the quality of your execution over the quality of the result. If you followed your plan perfectly and took a loss, you have won. If you broke your rules and made a profit, you have lost, because you have reinforced a habit that will eventually bankrupt you. We are building a fortress of discipline, and the executioner's mindset is the final brick. It's the realization that you are not a hero, you are not a gambler, and you are not a victim. You are a professional operator executing a proven edge with surgical precision. The fire that once burned your account has been harnessed. It is now the cold, blue flame of the forge, steady and unwavering. You no longer need the adrenaline hit of a big win because you have found a deeper satisfaction in the mastery of yourself. You have stopped chasing the ghosts in the mist and have started trusting the math. The world is still silent, the room is still blue, but for the first time, your heart is still. You are ready for the final transformation. The sun is finally beginning to rise, casting a pale, cold light over the screens that used to feel like a cage, but now feel like a cockpit. The room is no longer a chaotic battlefield. It has become a sanctuary of mechanical precision. You have survived the fire, you have patched the biological malware, and you have finally learned to value the silence. But we are now at the most dangerous stage of the journey, the transition from surviving to scaling. Most traders think that making more money requires more activity, more screens, and more complexity. But the truth is exactly the opposite. Scaling your wealth is not about finding more trades. It is about having the absolute, unwavering trust to put more size on the few trades that actually matter. You cannot buy this trust. And you cannot fake it. You have to earn the right to be aggressive by first proving you can be boring. You have to show yourself that you can follow the same rules for 100 trades, through winning streaks and soul-crushing drawdowns, without flinching or breaking protocol. Once you have built that fortress of data, your aggression is no longer a wildfire. It is a surgical strike. You don't size up because you feel lucky. You size up because your journal proves that your edge is a mathematical certainty. You are no longer trading for the dopamine hit of a win. You are trading for the cold reality of compounding. Think about the legacy you are building in this very moment. The world celebrates the big shorts and the market wizards because they make for great movies, but the people who actually own the world are the ones you've never heard of. They are the ones who average 2% a month, year after year, decade after decade. To the amateur, 2% sounds like an insult, but to the professional, it is a lethal weapon of mass production. If you can protect your ammunition and execute your edge with mechanical indifference, the math of compounding will eventually do things that look like magic to the outside world. But there is no magic here. There is only the relentless, boring repetition of a proven process. You have reached the stage where trading is no longer an adventure or an escape from your life. It has become a business. And in this business, the most successful person is the one who finds the workday the least exciting. You are no longer the desperate hunter thrashing in the water, scaring away the fish with your own anxiety. You are the silent operator. You sit at your desk, you check your rules of engagement, and if the market doesn't provide an A-plus setup, you walk away without a second thought. You have realized that no trade is a powerful position, and that cash is a valid asset class. The fire that used to destroy your account is now the steady heat that powers your forge. You have disconnected your self-worth from the flashing red and green numbers on the screen. You have realized that you aren't fighting the market. You are simply harvesting its inefficiencies through a disciplined system. The war is over, not because you conquered the market, but because you finally conquered yourself. As you shut down your monitors today, look at your hands. They aren't shaking anymore. Your heart is steady. The blue light of the screens is just a tool, and the world outside is waiting for the person you've become. You have built the forge, you have sharpened the blade, and you have earned the right to stand among the few who actually make it. This is the end of the beginning. You are a professional now. Stay boring, stay consistent, and above all, stay in the game. If you're ready to play the long game and trade like a professional, subscribe to the channel and join our community of operators. The noise of the world is loud, but the profits of the disciplined are silent. We will see you in the next session.